Banquet Room in Town Hall. For those who are joining by Zoom, the information can be found on the website. Information is at the top of our agenda as well. So calling the meeting to order. First on our agenda is the chair's report, and I'm looking for a vote to approve our minutes from June 24th. Can I have a motion to approve?
I move it as amended with the typos.
And Judy, you have those, one under chair's
do.
report and one under finance report.
Second.
Second, as amended. Any
Yes.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The chairs meeting, we did not meet during the summer. So we will be meeting, I believe it is next week for our first meeting, so I do not have a report for chairs meeting. So we can move into public comment. Do we have any public comment? And does not
Doesn't look
seem
like
to be
any.
anyone on Zoom either. Our select board liaison update. Mary, do you have anything for us?
Let's see, you had asked if I could give some comments on, yes, Governor Prince, that was one thing. So the Governor Prince is in discussion, there's no way around that one. Okay, that was artful, wasn't it? Yes, so it is still before the ZBA. It is unclear to me when they will actually vote. They have not yet even considered the waivers that are being requested. I'm not sure when that's actually going to happen. There are two now reports that they are going to be waiting for before they make any final votes. One is the traffic study that was requested. So that's a peer review traffic study to look at, to have another consultant essentially look at the existing traffic report to see whether or not the peer agrees with the traffic study as presented. Unclear how long that will take. I don't know where we are in the RFP and request for that. Theoretically, it should not take very long, but that's a good theoretically. Yes. The second thing is the ad hoc design committee that was requested at the last CBA meeting, which will be made up of, I believe, 2 representatives from the Architectural Review Committee, 2 folks from the zoning board, a member of the planning board, and perhaps 2 at-large members. Don't quote me on all those, but I think that's the general buckets. I believe they were given a charge to try to get their review done in 6 to 8 weeks, something like that, so a pretty tight timetable. If not even, I think closer to 6 weeks, hopefully I think the end of September, somewhere in that area. So there's really, I think, a sense of let's try to get this moving along as quickly as possible. We are still waiting for a determination from the Mass Historical Commission as to whether or not there needs to be an archaeological review of that site. That response was supposed to theoretically have been received already. It's unclear. We have not heard from the developer as to whether or not they've received that communication. So we're still waiting on that. There's still hope that demolition will take place in the next few months, because I think everyone would just as soon see that land cleared. But obviously we don't want to do that if there's going to be any ramifications from the Mass Historical Commission or anybody else that has some standing that we don't know of. So that's kind of where we are. It is definitely moving along. So that's what I can tell you about the Governor Prince. You'd also asked about the date for the town meeting. It is in November. It's that second Monday, as I remember.
16th.
The 16th. So that's when that's going to take place. There is a request now for, you're looking for warrant articles. So if there's something that you think needs to go on, we need to get moving on that with Mark. I think the other thing that I guess I would just like to say, and this is from the Affordable Housing Trust, is that we are, and being a member of that, I think there's a great interest on the part of that commission board to do a much better job of coordinating all the boards and commissions within the town that have some standing, if you want to call it, in the issue of affordable housing. And there is There will shortly be an invitation for essentially a housing community development roundtable discussion, which obviously from the discussions that I've had with you and certainly members of our board are very concerned about being sure that in any of those discussions, the position of those who are quote seniors is included in any and all discussions. So that certainly will be forthcoming, and I'm kind of excited about that. I think it's clear that the other issue that's coming up with affordable housing in general is just being sure that we have a better data set talking about who is in need of quote affordable and attainable housing. Obviously, seniors are a big part of that, and we want to do a better job of understanding sort of people who are aging in place, who are going to be housing challenged. So I think that we'll be working on that to create a better dashboard of that data set. And obviously we'll be in touch with you folks to try and be sure that the data that you have gets included in that dashboard. Because obviously what's come across during the Governor Prince discussions is that distinction between design and need. And ZBA has been trying to focus on design, not do we actually need this construction. And so part of that is continuing our discussions around why is it that we think affordable housing is important, and certainly the contributions that you folks have to that discussion is very important. And so I think, the third question you had for me, as I remember, was about the charge. And your charge is fine as is. You need not be concerned. It is, you're done, at least from the point of sending it to the select board and having it reaffirmed. There is no need to have any further discussions, unless there are things that you think need to be changed. But Meth and Mike and everybody else said it does not need to be, quote, in any way discussed, changed, whatever. However, if you think there's something that you would like reaffirmed or anything along those lines, let me know and we can do that. But it is not on the agenda for review.
Okay, that's a change from chair's meeting, but
You know,
maybe
these things
that's
happen.
too many things on, well, and they've got a lot on their plate, so
Yeah.
if they feel like they've done preliminary review
Yeah.
and the ones that need a sit down versus the ones that they feel are solid.
Correct. So if there's anything else that you want to discuss about that, we can do that. But from the scheduling and the review perspective, there is nothing that was being requested from either the chair or Kim's office.
Question?
Did we also ask you to see if you could find statistics on the Fair and Main Street housing, like how it breaks down by age? Did we ask?
I don't know, but I can certainly see if we can get that from them. I don't know the availability of that, but I can certainly see.
And I can talk to Elizabeth about
That's an
that. What are you
Elizabeth question,
specifically
yeah.
looking for, Susan?
I'm just interested in.
Age? Like, is
And
that
how
what
it falls out, the ages of, the average, I mean, how many are in our group, seniors, or how many are 20-year-olds that are living there, just how it falls out. I think it would be
For new
interesting
housing
to
or
know.
existing housing?
For the
For
Fair
Fair.
Oh, she
and
said
the Main
Fair,
Street.
The fair.
Okay.
PH.
Yeah, and Main Street, yeah. I think, from our perspective, us keeping our finger on the pulse of, in regard to any of the housing and new housing is, we have an intention of, providing that across the board at all ages. It's helpful for us to know how many older adults are being served once these are up and running. And that's just helpful information for us as we analyze, any of the needs and issues for older adults in town. So I presume all of that will be available at this roundtable, right, as we kind of look holistically at housing, although that'll be just affordable housing. We're not just talking about affordable housing, we're talking about all broad housing. So,
I'll follow up on that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank-
Through the chair, if I could
Yeah, sure.
go back to the charge issue. I looked up the charge yesterday, and I think it dates back to 2017, is that correct?
Oh, no, we have an updated one that
I
we
think
submitted.
I think what Mary's saying though is they're looking at the existing one, not the new one.
Oh, I hope not. I mean, we submitted two.
I'm not sure, you need
Okay,
clarification
so
on
I'll
that.
clarify,
I
but
can, I
we,
can find out for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
we submitted one last fall, I want to say October.
Because they would have to vote on the new charge.
Yes, yes.
And so I found the charge on the website, the town's
Mhm.
website, and it had the date of 2017, reaffirmed 2017.
I think I included it in the last meeting packet.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
thought-
so
I
we do
thought-
want to make sure that the one that we obviously, updated and pretty much completely rewrote as a board is the one that they have reviewed, but we do still need select board approval on it.
Okay,
So,
fine, got it.
thanks for that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mary. Judy, we can move into your financial report.
Okay, so we have there's 4 pages of financial reports. In the packet, I think it's page 5, it starts on page 5. right? The first report is the June 26th, and that's a fiscal year-end report. So you can see that we ended the fiscal year with very little money in our salary accounts, and that reflects the transfer we requested from our operating expenditures. We did turn operating expenditures back to the town. Primarily, that was because we had the new HVAC system, so the repairs that we were used to conducting over the course of the year didn't really happen, which is good news. And then all of the balances for the special articles carry forward, and then moving to the second page of the report. It actually says page 1 of 2, but the page cutoff is a little funky there, I'm sorry. And that's with all of our special funds. And you can see on that page that we turned over at the bottom $210,515 to the town's general fund, and those were all receipts from our Supportive Day program. The ending balances for all of these accounts in our special accounts become the starting balances for FY27. And if I look, I mean, we're not looking to make money, but the program revolving account, because of the increased activity level, we're having more programs, we're collecting more money, we're spending more money. Last year, we did ask for an increase in the expenditure limit from 75 to 100. And if you look at that, we may have to look at that again. I'm not really sure. And in part, costs also go up. So costs for instructors go up, everything goes up. So that's still a little close, I think, to the $100,000 ceiling. So we'll keep an eye on that at about the halfway point in FY27 to look at it. Our transportation revolving fund is primarily for repair of vehicles. The expenditures were not as high in that account, and in great part because the CCRTA replaced our aging vehicle with a new vehicle. So the year before, our repair costs were pretty astronomical, but this year they were manageable. So that's the transportation revolving. Our supportive, or it says Day Center gift count, which supports our Rock Harbor Respite program. We receive gifts, and we use the gifts for special programming. So we do music programming, we do art therapy programming, different kind of special programming that we don't have in our budget comes out of that particular revolving fund. Actually, that's a gift fund, not a revolving fund. There's a zero balance now in our Title III Older Americans grant fund, so that grant period is over and we are done with that. And I'm happy to answer any other questions, but it feels old. It feels like old to me now, where we are in August, but we had never had that for you, so. Moving to the next 2 pages.
I have a question.
Yeah, sorry.
Do any of these funds make interest?
Yes, So the trust funds particularly, the Anslo Trust, Travis Smith Trust, and Charlotte Fry Trust, we do get interest on those. It's not always monthly, Greta's here, I think it's the Anslo that it's a couple times a year, it's like the way they invest it or something like that. And when we get notified from Finance Department, we reflect that into those accounts, but it is not necessarily every month.
I also get asked how to make a gift to the Council on Aging. And I always tell them to send it to my account, but
So we,
Send it to the friend.
we get a lot of thank yous, so we get a lot of thank you gifts. We get a lot of thank yous during tax season, we get thank yous for durable medical equipment loans, we get thank yous for, a lot of them are thank yous. The other big part of them are memorial or gifts in honor of somebody. Those go into the COA, it's the fourth one down on this page, COA gifts and donations. When somebody lets us know ahead of time, particularly for memorial gifts, if there's a way that they would like it spent, we do track that, we honor it. We have had people in the past want a bench or want plants or to support the garden, or we do get also memorial gifts for our Supportive Day program. That will go into the Supportive Day gift fund to support those programs. We actually do get quite a fair number of those. But it just needs to be made out to the COA, and we prefer that it includes some information, so that
Info
if
about how
there's
they
a
want it
request.
spent?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I do
and I guess it's
follow up.
also possible to make gifts to the Friends of the Council on Aging. They
Absolutely.
send out a notice too.
They do, and they'll be doing their annual campaign in the fall, I think, end of October, November-ish.
Great, thanks.
So moving on, this is the July report, we haven't finished August yet, but so there's not much to report there. Our operating expenditures, I always want to remind people, are historically low for the first 7 months of the fiscal year, because a lot of our annual big bills, which are like maintenance contracts and things like that, do happen towards the end of the fiscal year. So that'll always be under where we are in the fiscal year. But you can see our appropriated budget amounts for those. We do have money for a vehicle. I suspect at this point, I've started working on this and we don't have enough money. I have started doing a survey of other COAs to see how they're managing their vehicles and their costs. And one of the things I actually learned is that a lot of COAs now have 2 leased vehicles from the CCRTA. Now, I had asked about that at one point in time, and when I had asked, was told they don't do it, but clearly they're doing it now. And so that is something I am going to explore. That could be a significant cost savings for the town. We still have to maintain the vehicles and pay the drivers for the vehicles, but so I am looking into that. The expenditures, there's not much on page 1. And then you can see that we had a huge deposit in our program revolving fund in July, and that's because the program cycle is July, August. So people registered at the beginning of July, they pay for all their July, August programs, so our deposits are big like every other month, so that was a big deposit month. And then you'll see it start to come out over the course of the programming cycle. We won't be getting formula grant money until later in the fiscal year, but we have carryover funds that we're working with. Our formula grant funds help pay for some of our staff time, particularly in the kitchen, on a regular basis, so we use that. It pays for a lot of our technology expenses and our digital equity programming. So we do rely on that. And then we don't have a lot of other expenditures from other accounts yet. I don't know if anyone has questions.
Any questions for Judy? Thank you. We can move into your director's report.
There are some important updates, and while some of it is in the report, I just want to take time to kind of go over it. Our September-October newsletter was mailed. I think one of the biggest updates in here. I had a message, which I don't always do, but we have suspended most programming for 3 weeks in October, so it's creating a bit of a programming snafu for us. But we have some big building repairs, and in order to plan for them, we had to carve out some time. I'm still working to finalize what projects will happen during those 3 weeks, but I can confirm that the roof replacement is one of them that will happen, and that's a huge project. And it's not safe for people coming in and out, that all of the solar panels have to be removed from the roof and taken off, and then the roof is replaced. And we are gonna have sprinkler system repairs in the meeting room ceilings. We're looking at kitchen appliance replacement, so we're looking at what can get done, and it's really gonna come down to the wire. I was hoping that we would be talking about the HVAC replacement, but we're not really in control of the timing of that, a grant that's funded by a grant. And then Ron has been working on that, because we had really, that was what initiated this, this timeframe. So if it doesn't happen, that'll be delayed till spring. The other thing is the generator project. The generator project is still under review. The town administration is looking at that. There's still consideration about whether it should be a partial or a full generator. And they've gotten updated cost and engineering information on that. And so that's being reviewed. I don't know what the final decision is, but it does appear that we may need additional funding for that. So I did hear something about whether that could possibly go on to the fall town meeting, but I'm not clear. I meet with Mark tomorrow.
What is a partial generator?
A partial generator would be a generator that only provides backup for part of the building. For instance, the kitchen, the
Right.
meeting rooms, and public restrooms, and not the offices.
I see.
So that, it's not that that's not helpful, but that wouldn't give any staff who might be working during that time access to computers.
Or use
Right,
it as
yeah,
shelter.
Yeah, so they're looking at all of it still. But
Do they have a full generator here for town hall?
I honestly can't answer that, Sue, I'm not sure.
Well, it was open during the storm, so I
Yeah.
assume so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
I would certainly be in favor of a full generator, especially with the idea of using this place as a shelter, which I think is an
Right.
excellent idea if we ever get a generator.
I think some of this is also timing, because I think this is also an issue at the new high school, which caused some problems with sheltering last winter. So I think that our thing may be part of kind of bigger discussions and plans.
Yeah, I was gonna
So-
actually report on this during our final agenda item. I did listen in, and Mary was there at the select board meeting. I think it was the last one, the August one. There was a presentation by actually an intern who was working on the Emergency Operation Center, the EOC plan. I think, after last winter, that need to really kind of take a deep dive into our emergency plan for the town, and really identifying kind of, as you should with every emergency or every post-disaster, look back of, what worked, what didn't, where did we have problems, what are we gonna do about it? So I think there is an opportunity to, have a voice at the table to say, we're here, we're interested in being a help and a part of this. I think a lot of what you do during an emergency and what they're working on, there really should be dialogue about, how can we be working together, right? You have a lot of people in the community that you're supporting, and so, having that opportunity to be seated at the table to share, what the priorities should be and how the COA can be helping through these emergencies, so that it's not siloed, right? But
I
looked
also,
at
COA
holistically.
directors actually, especially on the Lower Cape, participated in a county-wide hot wash on the emergency, because there were such issues last
Sure,
winter with
sure.
that storm that impacted older adults. So I know that there has been a lot of change happening in planning at the county level as well around
Right.
this issue.
Yeah, so.
Madam Chair, I think that the the issue at the high school has been fixed.
Right, that's what we were
That's
told
done.
at that meeting,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's done.
yeah.
I think, and there was, I'm trying to remember if in the emergency layout included somebody from the Council on Aging.
It did.
It did,
Yes.
so I think,
Yep.
you're there.
Mhm.
But I think the discussion around the generator and how the generator gets, I'm thinking how it gets funded, if there was another way to look for funding, because it might be an emergency location, that may be another opportunity, but I don't know.
Mhm.
So to follow up on that, there has been money to help fund that, but it's not enough
Mhm.
money, depending on what is done. I'm not even sure if it's enough funding for the initial scope, just because so much time has passed and costs
Sure.
are so much more
So
significant.
we
Yeah.
have these trust funds. I mean, we have $455,000 sitting in one.
Mhm.
Why can't some of that money go towards a generator?
So we could do that, but historically, the COA board has not wanted our special funds used for bricks and mortar issues. That it's a town-owned building. I mean, you're an advisory group, you can make a recommendation, but past boards have not, we have used funds in the past for things like bathroom stall replacements, sinks, things like that, and the decision and the voice of the board was that we shouldn't be using those funds for physical repair and maintenance of a town-owned building.
Yeah.
So during the shutdown, the daycare program is still going on, so will that part of the building basically not be affected by the?
The supportive, when we don't have power, we don't have this, I mean, we
Oh,
don't
okay,
have
right.
activities
Right.
at
Oh, no,
all.
he's talking about
The
the,
generator?
No, the
no,
day-
well, you did that
Roof
work
fall.
for
No,
the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that you're gonna be
roof
shut.
So transportation will not be impacted,
Right, yeah.
supportive daycare program will not be impacted. What else is not impacted? Support groups will not be impacted, and our monthly respite program. So all
So the
essential
respite-
services will not be impacted by that.
So
They
the-
will happen as normal.
Right, so the respite program, they're gonna be in that part of the building?
Yes.
That'll still have power
Yes.
and not be, that roof, part of
Yes,
the roof?
we don't know what we're doing for meals at this point,
Yeah.
because if we don't have power in the
Right.
kitchen, but we're working on some contingency plans with the Family Table Collaborative.
Okay.
Mhm.
When was the roof last reshingled? Within your time?
The roof, you mean? No, not my, I mean, the roof is 20-plus years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't have substantial leaks. When we have driving rain, we have leaks, but we don't have chronic leaks like some buildings do.
Wow.
But we have had some leaks in our flat roof section, which you can't see, but the kitchen has a flat roof, and there is equipment on the roof, HVAC equipment on the roof, that will be moved when the new HVAC system goes in. And that section of the roof has been addressed over the last 6 years, I believe.
I've never seen a flat roof that doesn't leak.
Yes, right. Right. I wanted to make sure that I called out to that. One development is that over the summer, really since beginning of June, COA directors on the Lower and Outer Cape have been working with the CCRTA regarding the need for additional transportation to Hyannis medical appointments. It's a bigger need out in Pearl and Provincetown who don't have DART bus service. So we have been working and we are participating in the pilot program so that there will be a bus going to Hyannis once a week for those appointments. For full disclosure, I'm not sure it's gonna work well for, I think people would prefer a fish ride because there will be significant wait times for a return ride home. It's a loop. And so, I mean, if you have a long test at Cape Cod Hospital and you can go to the cafeteria, it might work. But if you're going to Boston Ophthalmologic, I don't say that right, but services, and you have a 30-minute appointment and you have to be there for 3.5 hours, it might not work. So we're not taking away our fish program, we still also provide transportation on our buses for medical appointments when we can for people who require wheelchair, because we can't address that through fish. But historically, the way we address transportation is to just keep biting off pieces of it. So this is, we're really pleased that the CCRTA wants to invest in trying this, but it is a pilot project, and it'll be reevaluated in the winter.
There was a nice article about the newsletter.
Yes. So we have worked hard, and we have a great community partner. The Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority has been really willing to be creative about this and try it. And honestly, if we don't try it, we wouldn't know if it works.
So the weekly, is that 1 day a week? Is that what
One
you
day a
mean?
week,
Okay.
right, and the pickup time is always the same, and it is a loop transportation system. So they start in Provincetown, and Orleans is the last stop before they get on the highway and head to the medical offices, and then there's a loop on the way back. So, like I said, if
It's best for Orleans.
yeah, it is good for, it is best for us, it's a very long day if you're in
Last on
Provincetown and
first
Truro.
off, yeah.
Yeah, but it is, if you're just going to the urologist or one of we have predestined stops that we can do, it is a bit of a wait, and so we don't know if it's gonna work, but we have to try. One of the big challenges I wanna just talk about is that we had a staff resignation. Our part-time 3-day-a-week person in our supportive daycare program has resigned for personal reasons. This is the 4th time in 4 years that I'm working on hiring for this position. And the workforce issues are not insignificant. It is, I think if you have a full-time job that includes benefits and a competitive salary, people are getting applicants, but for these jobs, it's really hard. I think that my assessment is that workforce has changed. People are working full-time longer, so they're not retiring till closer to 70 than 60 now. And while some people are looking for part-time employment, some people are not anymore because they've waited longer to retire. And then I think when people are looking for retirement jobs, they have the ability now to be selective. And I'm not sure whether this is an attractive job. When you can make a similar salary working at a local gift shop, or you can work in the supportive day, my guess is you might pick the gift shop, and this is 3 days a week. It's not just 1 or 2 days, and the schedule isn't flexible really. So I think we are going to have to start thinking out of the box. I am concerned about this because the staff has been, so a lot of our operations are very public facing. So when somebody is not there, if a staff member has vacation or we have a position vacancy, I have to backfill. So there are coverage issues. We're just coming off nearly 4 months of coverage at our reception desk. That's a position that has to be backfilled, especially if the other person is on vacation. So we're just coming off. And this position was honestly just filled in January.
And you were so excited.
I was.
You said you were so happy. You
it's-
finally had a good team.
It was great, and it was for unanticipated personal reasons that the person, I really can't share more than that. It's disappointing, but this is hard, and so I need to have conversations with the town, with the assistant town manager and with HR, to figure out what we can do about it. But this is really challenging in terms of sustainability for staff. Because what has happened is that staff are regularly backfilling other positions and not getting their work done. So it creates a subset of issues. So I just want to share that with you. The other challenge that we've had is that we've lost a couple of fitness instructors in the last 6 weeks. And it is the hardest thing to find, are fitness instructors. And we're not alone with this, but we do a lot of development. We were so excited about the strength and conditioning program we had just implemented and had such a great instructor for it. But again, the individual needs to work full-time with benefits. And so what we have found in trying to develop, I mean, we make calls all the time, we're really reaching out, but a lot of the fitness instructors, certified fitness instructors, work full-time jobs. And the fitness piece is their side gig, if you will. So they're not necessarily available when we need them. So we are aware that there are some holes, we're working on it, but we can't, I don't have a magic wand. But we're working on development, and I just want to be upfront that we know people are disappointed about that. And it's, I mean, we've heard comments at the desk a lot in the last few weeks, well, just find someone else. It took a couple of years to find that instructor, and it's hundreds of phone calls and checking, and, you know, are you qualified, do you have time, you know, could you accept this, because, you know, and we're competing with gyms, you know? So it's a struggle, it's very real, we know people are not happy, but we are doing our best. So I just really wanted to make sure that I was upfront about that. The other big thing that I do want to share, and it's black and white in the packet, but it was color online, and so I provided a color, is that we have been working with the town's public information officer to kind of change our branding. So the town really didn't have branding for a long time, and we did it. The board actually is the one that developed our last logo. I mean, it was a long and painful process, but we had a great result. But the town has worked really hard to develop some, you know, branding guidelines, and we want to be respectful. We are a town organization. We want to come alongside that process. So we have worked with the public information officer and the graphic designer to kind of merge our existing logo with the town's new branding, and that sheet is what we have come up with. We will start rolling it out with the next issue of the newsletter. Another challenge we're facing right now is the September-October newsletter we self-publish, which means we send it to a printer ready to print. We have used Publisher software. Publisher is ending at the end of September, and we will lose all our Publisher files. You won't have access to them anymore. So we are having to do some mediation in terms of making sure we have saved things in other formats that we need access to. But we have to move our newsletter production onto the Canva platform. And it's good and it'll work, but there's very minimal staff proficiency using the technology. So it's going to be a painful 4 to 6 months, and it's going to take a lot more time than it normally does. I'm very involved in the production of the newsletter, and I've started, I can do things. Greta on our staff is probably the one who's most proficient with it at this point. So we have started, we are in the process of creating a template, but it will incorporate this, and then once we incorporate the new logo, we'll be looking at how we get it into, how we start replacing what we have with the new logo.
So I think, wasn't the town logo, the rays of sun, weren't they rainbow?
Yes,
And so we've gone to.
We get one color, we get one of the colors.
We get one other color, so okay, so.
so
that
you
makes
have to
sense.
select from the,
Right.
you have to select from the colorways that are
Yeah.
part of it. So we were trying to merge what we have, which is like an identification with Rock Harbor.
Right, yeah.
You know, we have the Rock Harbor Respite Program, and that's where we're
Yeah.
located. So we were trying to merge what we have now. I think they did a good job,
Sure.
reflecting what we have, so it doesn't look completely different. I mean, the option would be just to use the towns. But, so the options in terms of the sun, pink we felt read very feminine, and we have an issue attracting them to programs, so that wasn't great. The orange, it read with the other blue colors, it read a little like Miami-ish. So we felt like the gold was the best option, and we're trying, I mean, one of the things that I said with the graphic designer who was working on this is that we went through a lot of reiterations, to be honest, because I said it can't look meh. It has to,
Right,
it
yeah.
has to say thriving.
Right, yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, that's the image that we want to project. So I think, I mean, I particularly like the one without the words. I think that one's
Right, yeah,
probably
that is nice,
the
yeah.
nicest. So that's what we're moving forward with. And I do think that it reflects the town's new branding, but it's still, it's related enough that,
Right.
and I do think it says thriving, so. So we'll be working to kind of incorporate it into a new newsletter template.
So you might use all three of these, or did you want
Well,
us
they're
to
used for
select what we
different,
like?
no.
For different purposes.
They're for different purposes. For instance, this would be like letterhead,
Oh,
like the one, like, you know, we might use this on letterhead, or
Right.
thank you notes, or note cards, or things like that. When we're just, I mean, when it's on a publication that is clearly identified as being from the senior center, we might not need the words. But if it's solo on something, you might really want to have it identified with the senior center. So it's all the same logo, it's just different variations of it. But, so I just wanted to kind of share that with you. So there's been a lot of back of the, you know, behind the scenes work going on this summer on different
Find your
projects.
phone, it's right there.
The one time I'm trying to turn it off.
The other thing I just shared in my report is that this summer we had the summer informational meeting with the select board, and so I provided you a copy with the slide that was presented for the senior center. And as part of my report, I did want to address, it says FY '26, but it should say FY '27 on the agenda. Administrative priorities for the COA board. So one of the things that I do every year is kind of identify what my priorities and goals are for the year. And these are the two goals that I have chosen to support the board. I believe they reflect what you have indicated are your goals. I want to make sure that I'm supporting not only your goals, but one of them is also closely identified with information in the comprehensive plan. So the next 2 pages in the packet is information directly from the comprehensive plan, which we had input in, and clearly indicate the desire to be able to respond to changing needs of the aging population. And then it was clearly spelled out about doing some kind of a needs assessment. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. And I know you're going to discuss your priorities, but one of the things I would suggest that we might consider doing is having me reach out to UMass Boston Gerontology Center, who does a lot of the needs assessments for councils on aging statewide and also, I think, outside of the state of Massachusetts. So that would involve like a comprehensive look at things. I mean, it involves like focus groups and a survey and meetings with stakeholders. And they come back with, you know, real meaningful data, but they can also help us develop the start of a strategic plan for the organization. So I think that aligns us, that would align us with your goals, and it would also align us with kind of goals that have been established in the comprehensive plan. And now that we have, I think it makes it a little bit easier now that we have meetings here and we have the ability for someone to join by Zoom. I would suggest that maybe if this is acceptable to you, that I reach out and see if I can schedule somebody to participate in one of our COA board meetings in the next few months.
I think that was our first goal last year, to do a needs assessment, so do you want a motion to that effect?
Up to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's continues what our goals are, so, I mean, we certainly can, but I feel like this is something that we had outlined, approved. I mean, we're going to update this, but,
I'm sure it'll still be our goal.
yeah, for sure.
So just to save time.
It's an ongoing, yeah, it'd be, you know, just for our minutes, I'd be happy to do that if that helps to kind of clarify direction. Because I think we will need time to redistribute from October of last year. our goals, and we have new board members, so, our next meeting is a good time for everybody to have taken a look at that and for us to reassess. But in the meantime, I think giving you the opportunity to get that underway. So if you'd like to make a motion.
Yes, I make a motion to ask and support the director to coordinate a presentation with the presentation by UMass Boston Gerontology Center to the board to discuss the process of conducting a community needs assessment and initiate strategic planning for the Council on Aging and Senior Center. And I would probably do it, stealing from the.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I have a second to that?
Sure.
Well, could I just add as soon as possible?
You could.
Okay.
It will be, I'm sure. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
That would be great. And we'll make sure at our next meeting or in your packet, and actually even beforehand, so you have a little bit of time to take a look at what we have in regard to our ongoing priorities, and so that we can have a robust discussion at our next meeting, and any kind of edits that we need to do or updates to our board priorities.
I just think it's really key to, things have changed so much, I think, in the last 10 years, and, even after the census, to get an idea of who's here, when, full-time, part-time, what are the interests, we see the interesting and growing interest in fitness, and people coming in with yoga mats. I mean, it's really different and pretty exciting to see how it comes. I see the difference at the meals that are here, a younger crowd, meaning 50s, maybe 60s. And I'm still called a younger person by my friends who are 90. But but I feel, I see that the metrics show 500 people monthly now, and it was 400 just within the past year.
Yeah.
And so there's a growing demand that we see in how big the classes are, and people who don't get into their class.
Yeah, yeah.
So it'll be huge to get this assessment done.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing is, Sue, that's the, Susan, that's the visible stuff, right? So I also have a concern about what's not visible. I think your point is absolutely valid, but I think there is a whole population that we don't see, and they have great needs as well, and they could very well be growing needs. So all the more reason why having something comprehensively reviewed to say, who are we serving, what are their needs, and how do we address that? Some of them are very obvious, and I suspect we'll find that there are things that will surprise us once we get the assessment. So, really important to do.
I go back to the big storm when I heard after the storm how people here gathered because they knew the food in the kitchen was going to spoil, or that was a risk, and so they made sandwiches and food packets and stuff, and took them to people that they had a list of people that they were concerned about.
Yeah.
So they went, and so that was just a pretext almost to go and say, so how you doing? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to go? I mean, and coordinated that. That's just a huge thing. And when there were no deaths during that. And I think this kind of service is a reason.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you about things we don't even know about. That other people luckily are thinking about.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to second what you said, Denise. I think there may be more people aging in place that we may not know about. And I don't know how you get that information, but I think it's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Some of that is a focus of our outreach department.
Right.
Like our outreach team
Right.
does that. I mean, we've been working with 2 homeless older adults this summer. We had protective service consultations in their office yesterday. I mean, there is a whole lot of other stuff that happens. I mean, so the aging in place issues are very relevant. And workforce issues impact that a great deal. We've seen people over the last couple of years. I mean, we had somebody in Orleans who waited 13 months to have the personal care needs filled because of the waiting list for home care services. So it's, that this does need to be part of the plan for sure.
Data helps for sure.
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you for that. Move to new business. Review of the Tidings newsletter policy is in your packet. It is the last page. It was sent to you via email, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to read through it. And Judy, anything that you want to highlight or any concerns that you have that does not reflect what your current practices are?
Communications is a big part of my priority over the course of the next year, and it kind of ties into branding. We're looking at social media, and we're looking at constant contact. Once we do some of that, we can start pushing information instead of in a different way than we do now, particularly the newsletter. I mean, the first step of that is the project we just accomplished over the last 3 months was culling the newsletter mailing list. I mean, it's substantially reduced. It really, probably about 35%. So that was kind of the first step in this, but we still need to do that. I mean, I think we are providing it free of charge. We're honoring the Friends request since they are supporting the cost of the newsletter to make sure all of their members get a copy of the newsletter mailed if they choose to want it that way. We still need to work on the electronic distribution system. It is posted online, but that is a system that's reliant on people going to find it. What we want to do is develop a system where we can send it out, and people can choose to be part of that distribution group or not. So most of it is still relevant, but because we just completed the kind of change, I wanted to make sure that we reviewed this. It may stand. It was approved last in January of 2025. I don't think anything has significantly changed, but we haven't gotten to the point where we have the system for the electronic distribution. But that is part of what I'm hoping is going to happen over the course of the next 11 months.
Yeah, as I reviewed it, even though we've made some significant changes, I didn't see any of the information in here in this policy being erroneous. It's just that we've made progress towards some of the goals. And the policy is broad enough as it's written to include both, the printed copy and the large print and the electronic version and posting. All of those things will continue to happen. We've just kind of shifted, the ways that we're doing it, and certainly commend you and your team for cleaning up that newsletter distribution. And, I think we were all concerned about how that would go, and I think the outcome has been really very positive.
Yeah.
So thanks for managing that. I know people were inundated with, this is your really, 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 really your last opportunity.
Well, it is funny because we were getting ready to mail it last Friday, and we were getting calls on Thursday, like, I never sent in the form. Which, I mean, people got a form, they got an email, they got a telephone call.
Text,
We
calls.
called, like, we know that people who have been served through outreach in particular, or certain programs that we felt made them more vulnerable, we actually called them. So we, I
then they
think, Mark,
changed their
that was your
mind.
request,
That was
like,
exactly,
do
yeah,
due
right,
diligence,
right.
we did.
Western Union
And still, we
Telegraph.
had like 3 phone calls on Thursday, I'm like, okay.
Went
we'll
knocked
nudge
on
it
their
to
door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Telegraph.
And you weren't surprised, that's the other
No,
thing.
Uh-huh. You can pretty much
All
count
good.
on it,
Yep.
but, yeah. Did anybody else see anything in here that needed any edits?
No action is I'm not
Right.
requesting action,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
thought this was kind of to wrap that up. To
Fine.
make sure it
Is
was
it-
still,
Right.
yeah.
Since we're not amending, then we really don't need any,
You
we
can if you
don't make-
choose to, but I thought it was important, since we did this major review of the newsletter,
Sure.
that you looked at the policy and made sure we were still adhering to what you wanted, or if you wanted to make changes, you could.
And so we
Just-
only do notations of approval and amendments, not reviews, is that correct? Okay, then no need. All right. And Seaway discussion about COA Board's fiscal year #27 priorities. We actually just did that, but I will reiterate what I'll do is make sure before the agenda goes out soon, I'll get out a copy to everyone what our current priorities are, so you have some time to take a look at it, review, particularly new board members. If you want to chat with me, happy to do that over the phone, or we can get together just to have some background. The only thing that I would say is, while I love board members being ambitious and thinking about all sorts of things, I think a few things that I want to be cognizant of is the realities of what we know happen all the time, that there is just a tremendous amount of work that was already here, that is already on the plate. We've talked about workforce. I think it's important that we really look at priorities to say, is this really a priority for 2027? And that we steer away from operational issues. We have a very competent staff, and I think us really looking at more high-level things rather than the minutia of operations is also something that will be somewhat of a relief to staff. To have them pursuing things that are operational, it's always fine to just chat with Judy about, I have an idea kind of thing, but I want to make sure that we're high level in direction rather than minutia of operations. Any comments or questions about our priorities for the fiscal year, coming year? So I'll get that out to everyone. Okay.
I don't know if this is new business or what it would be considered. The parking lot area. I noticed in like June, July, when I was here, how pretty it looked, the plantings that were like at the ends of, there were hydrangeas, it just, and the Russian sage, everything looked gorgeous. I was noticing the other day, that still looks good, but there's a lot of weeds anymore. And in the center strips where the Ragusa roses are, there's a lot of old trees growing up, things. I know it's not the responsibility of the staff here, it's not maintenance, I know that, but it's the town DPW is supposed to be taking care of the maintenance.
I'll pass along the comments.
Is it
I'm
worth?
not we're in charge of so from the fence behind is what we take care of. DPW takes care of the front of the building and the fence forward. So
I just think it's starting to look sort of shabby.
Okay.
Any other new business?
I'm not sure where this will go, under new business or old business, but I wanted to, since we're back together, get an update on what's happening with the hiring of an assistant director, which was a huge priority of ours.
Old business, but we're heading in that direction, so we'll stick it there
Yeah.
and put it in first. Judy, you want to?
Well, I think I have a bullet in my report on that, but.
You had it in your report.
Yeah, the job description, I believe, is in its final review. I'm hoping it's on my agenda to speak with the assistant town manager on a meeting I have tomorrow about, just to kind of confirm what stage we're at with that. We have the funding. I believe at this point, it's just a matter of making sure that the job description has been finalized. The town is in the midst of a classification comp study. So another project I did this summer is all of our job descriptions had to be reviewed and were rewritten over the last couple of months. It started with employee review, then it went to consultant review, then it came back to the division manager, me, for review. So I think it's part of that process. It looks to me to be at the end and ready. But I'll confirm that, because I too would like to see that happen, particularly if we're moving toward needs assessment. That would be just a great time to have the person come aboard.
This was a big priority of this board, and that was then supported by unanimous vote of the selectmen, who did the unusual step of getting an override. And then it was supported by town meeting significantly. So, and the reason that this wasn't held for a fall town meeting is because there was a need right away. So I would really like to emphasize that, and given that there's no description yet, and we learned during discussions that there had been a description, at least written out, perhaps not reviewed, back in May. I would like in some way to restate this board's desire for quick action on this, quick being relative to being in a town government. So could I make a motion, please, that would say that, if I can find it here, that the Council on Aging respectfully and asks and advises for the posting of the Council on Aging Assistant Director position to be a priority, a town priority, to happen as soon as possible.
Motion's made, second.
Second.
Discussion? I think that's happening. I hear you. I just, we are part of the town and, many balls in the air. And I'm confident in speaking with Mark and with Judy that the process that we're going through is not in a vacuum. They're reviewing, job descriptions, updating everything. For us to pull something out separately, is, I think what's happening is happening and underway. I don't see any harm in it, but I'm personally confident that we're underway.
I'm glad to hear that. I am not as confident, mainly from listening to all the things going on in town and things under review and changes which I'll bring up when we review what's happening with other advisory committees. I think there's a lot on the town's plate, and instead of clearing that plate, more things are being put on the plate. And I would like this to remain a priority. And I don't have that feeling myself, but you, I think, would have more contact with that. But the feeling that I would feel much better if we had arrived at this point of time and a job description had been posted. That to me would mean there was a priority, which is something I think was made clear.
It does exist, Susan. I don't know if we're at the final, I don't know if it's finalized. That's what I intend to find out tomorrow. But I have seen it, it does exist. I had a great deal of input in the development of it.
Okay.
And I don't know where we're at with it. It's just, it's time to kind of regroup. A lot of people have had summer vacations and stuff, so
Do you feel it's being held up for any reason by the town or anything?
It's really not a fair question to ask, I don't think.
Yeah, Mark has been very responsive when I have questions for him and when I go to him. So I took a vacation, he took a vacation, so we're reconnecting tomorrow. It's on my list of things to go over. When I did review the job descriptions, I asked for a copy of where we were at with it and looked at it. I need a couple of suggestions for something I wanted changed on it. And so I don't know where it is at right now. But that is an HR project, so, but I know it's been moving, it's not been sitting. I mean, I had a meeting with Denise, who's the HR director, and Mark, a couple of meetings. But, I too, obviously, we all want to see it filled, so I will, it is on my, it's on my horizon.
It would be a big help for backfilling for our vacancies that go out. It'd be one more person to be able to cover that when, there's a vacancy that needs to be filled in order to keep the regulation staff to client relationship. That's pretty key. So one of the reasons it's so essential. And I watched a meeting before this meeting of the Recreation Advisory Committee, and, the Recreation Director has resigned and will be leaving. Was talking about regionalization of that job, and Mark is going to be covering a lot of those duties that the director has had. So hearing that, I'm like, okay, things are happening that are not yet priorities, and I would like the existing priorities to be addressed first. So that fueled my vote to make sure that this remains a priority. My motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't see this motion as being in any way harmful, so I'm in favor of it. It's always good to keep things visible that are important. So.
I'm sort of the new kid on the block, and I'm of mixed feelings because I'm not sure when things are moving forward, whether a motion of this nature going sort of sounds like, what more do they want kind of thing, if things are moving along. But I might be off base on that. I don't know the players, and I don't know, so I'm just not sure how they respond.
Well, and that is my leaning, is that taking official action and motions as opposed to having a sit down with somebody and having a discussion. In relationship building, I prefer to have a sit down with individuals. And, if you need some additional comfort level and detail, Susan, then, I would rather have, you have an opportunity to sit down with Judy and Mark and, and get that information. But I think we spent a lot of time trying to kind of pull this board out of a silo and relationship build. And again, I'm always of the mind of, sit and have the conversation, so that there can be a dialogue rather than a one-way, I don't want to call it an edict, but there can be misinterpretation. Other discussion?
I'll just reference, I believe it were, I think that the job description is in good shape. It's just waiting final approval. I do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. It is one of the things that I'd like to follow up on. So I'm not letting go of it, Susan, if that helps you to know, but,
I wonder if we could table this till next meeting, and if nothing has happened then have that motion. Then another whole month has gone by without anything happening. But I'm sure Susan feels that's too late. But
I presented it in the hopes that there would be a vote.
well, there is a
Well,
motion.
there's a
yeah.
motion, so there'll be a
Yeah.
vote for
Yeah.
sure, yeah. All right, well, if we have no other, then why don't we take a vote? All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a 2-3. And Judy, if you'd be good enough to maybe give us an update after your meeting, that would be helpful. Okay.
And make sure the assistant to the director is also a fitness instructor.
And a
That's a good
driver.
idea.
Well, then they
Right,
wouldn't be able to
exactly.
have some delegated responsibilities,
Oh, God,
but it is, that is a big wish.
Make sure they can cook too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Might as
right,
well
exactly.
just throw that
That's
on
for
in.
everything, right?
Serve,
Yeah.
exactly.
I will update everybody with what I learned.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. And Susan, I hope,
I'm good.
yeah, listen, I just personally appreciate the focus and what we have done and been through for, more than the last year to make this happen. So I appreciate that the timeline is frustrating, and, I just want to make sure we get there, and effectively, for not only this, but for all things. And, you certainly have my personal assurances, and I know how Judy operates, that our staying on top of this will absolutely happen. It's not gonna sit around, so.
Denise, if I might just follow up. I will be truthful and transparent that this is important to me because, I'm looking to delegate. If you have seen my desk, you would know I'm looking to delegate some responsibilities because the day-to-day and managing administrative responsibilities has become hard. But I have to be truthful and say, you can only do so much hiring at a time. We just got off almost 3.5 months of not having a full-time person who is the most front-facing in our department, in terms of our operations, is one of the air traffic controllers, so that's major. But now having the vacancy in supportive day, while it is a little position, has a huge impact. And I have to work through that at the same time. That is, it's huge, because it has such a impact on staff.
I have to say that the staff is just so good at rotating in and out. I mean, I didn't even know they were rotating in and out, but I kept seeing new people at the supportive day program, and I finally realized they didn't belong there all the time.
Yeah.
They were rotating in to cover things.
Right.
But they do it so well.
Yeah.
It's just been.
A funny story, Susan,
Yeah.
I've been covering a lot of the Tuesday nights because I feel like it's one of the things I can do to support the staff so that they're not working and having to come in the next morning. And 2 weeks ago, I was there and people knew that we had hired a new person named Judy. So he says to me, "Are you the new Judy?" I said, "I'm the old Judy."
But you don't want to be known as
That's
that
what I said. As
forever.
soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm
No.
like, well, that didn't sound right. But I'm the
Change my-
seasoned Judy is what I
That's
said to him.
right.
But, yeah, kind of funny.
All right, update on name tags and to-go containers.
So name tags, boy, Mark, I'm just gonna let you know, but that one snowballed because everybody wants the name tags now. We're bordering it on it being unmanageable. We have done a lot of generic name tags, but if there's not an E on the end of the name and somebody wants an E on the end of the name.
Well, Judy with an I, you know.
Yeah, it's gotten kind of challenging, and, but I think it's working, and it's funny. We had a very quick turnover for a program last week, and I was helping the custodian change over the room. We literally had 5 minutes. And I didn't put the name tag board in the class, and people were like crossing over us trying to set up a room for the lobster lunch to get their name tags for the class. I'm like, wow, those quickly became important to people, so kudos to you for the suggestion.
Some people love them and some people, I think people are really good at names, don't
care about it.
And people are like, I've seen that person, 12 times, I forgot their name. So
Yeah.
they like the name tag. So
Right,
it's-
yep, but they are being used, so I just want to kind of let you know, if
Yeah.
you haven't seen, we have a board, if we're not using it, we turn it around in the meeting room, but it was originally for Sit Fitness, it's now being used in lunches and almost all fitness,
Oh, good.
it's being widely used. The to-go containers, that took a little bit of doing, we had to have a conversation with the health department staff. We also had to find a product that we felt aligned with the town's green initiatives to use that would still kind of stand up to travel home with people. We have found a product, we have it, we've ordered it, it's in sight, we are making signage, we hope to roll it
Nice.
out next week.
Nice.
To be honest, like Lillian's been on vacation, so we're just now waiting for someone to be able to kind of walk in and start doing it, but we have created a sign for it, so we're ready to go with that.
Is there going to be a little contribution
A little
thing?
charge,
Yeah,
yes.
great.
Yeah. And we also, we wanted to find something that was, made with recycled materials in it.
Of course.
But that also was affordable, because we
Right.
didn't want to pass on too big a cost to people.
Right.
But we can't eat it, because the meals are just, they
Oh, no,
don't,
of course.
they don't
Oh,
cover
yeah,
the cost of the meals, so. I think it will
$6.
incentivize bringing your own containers, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest,
right.
which
Good point.
is not a bad.
A lot of
not a
people
bad
do,
thing.
but then,
Right.
a lot of time,
Oh, I forgot
usually,
them.
yeah, it's like,
your
oh, I
grocery
forgot my,
bags. Yeah.
or they're going back to the car.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yep.
What would
So,
be the charge, do you think?
$1? Yeah, I think is what, but it's, it's a
But
covered
then they're
container, it's
reusable?
it's not a clamshell. It's like a coated cardboard, it's made with recycled materials, the cover can be recycled.
It's
and
microwavable if
it's-
you take the cover
Oh,
off.
that's good.
So you can heat the food when you, so we did some research.
Excellent, wow, great.
Found something that was recommended, and so we think it'll be good, but it's, yeah.
You've saved a lot of purses.
Yeah.
Right.
Purses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I think a lot of people bring their containers,
Yeah,
and
they
I
do.
think, this gives people an option. We didn't buy thousands of them, we were, gonna see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, good suggestion, just wanted you to know that when you make suggestions,
Yeah.
we do follow up on the
Yes,
suggestions.
thank you.
Okay, updates from our multi-member body committees. We had 2 months worth, so we'll try to be as succinct as possible. Anybody want to get started?
I'll go first.
Okay, thanks.
So I listened to the Recreation Advisory Committee of August 20th, which was a Thursday, and I saw the agenda, and there was I really was mostly interested in the update on this skate park, well, they say this, no, that's something else, the Eldridge Park restoration. And that's underway, they have 6 bids that came in. And then afterwards, they finalized plans, went out to bid, that's why it's taken, a few months. They've got a lot of interest in it, and it resulted in 6 bids. And now they're analyzing those bids for a couple of reasons, and one of them is to see if they can get a bid that would still enable them to do some of the things that are not in the base bid, that would be what they called add-ons, that they wanted to see if, when the bid came in, if they could afford it. So that's a process that's happening now to see if, by accepting a certain bid, they can, add on maybe as many as 3 or 4 of the optional things they were seeking, which can only be good. But the words were that they're hopeful to award contract very, very soon, and then they can schedule when this would start happening. The hope is, I think this fall.
They said
September.
September.
Early
September.
Actually said early
I have it here.
September, which is,
Early
Breaking
September,
ground,
breaking
September.
ground.
Yep.
yeah, right, yeah.
For the May completion.
And I think those add-ons were things like, lighting
Mm-hmm.
and stuff that we were particularly interested in.
Mhm. Some of them are. Yes, and I won't talk to you about pickleball, but I'm trying to focus. So the charge came to them. They got the first version from the select board staff and the town manager about redoing the charge of this advisory committee. And this was a surprise of sorts. And the feeling was that that committee didn't think they were getting timely information. And they also learned that their proposal was to lessen the committee numbers from 7 to 5. And they wanted to make sure they could have their own goals. The one statement was that the committee's goals would be aligned with the select board's goals. And somebody said, well, sometimes we have goals that are not perhaps the same. So, but this will all go, and there's a staff member there, I believe his name was Mike. I think he might be the special projects guy, not sure.
Mike Salitro.
Yeah, didn't get
Yeah.
his last name. And this is,
Yeah.
again, this was on Zoom. So there's, this is early in the process. He assured them and said, let's send your recommendations back, and they'll be reviewed next month, I think. Then we got into the announcements, and that's when, I guess the advisory committee learned a week before the 20th of that meeting of the resignation of the director, who's been there for 3 years and helped grow this department. And they're very sad to be losing him for reasons of health of the family. He doesn't really have a choice. He had hoped that they would be able to retire here, and he's a young guy, so that was sad. And he's planning to leave. He won't be working full-time after August, so he can help with, things like the Eldridge Park project and whatever else may be happening. One of which includes, of course, then the question is who to hire or what to do, and that's, I think, how the regionalization possibility came up with Brewster. And so he and his counterpart in Brewster were tasked with the idea of regionalization and seeing how they might work. And so they put together a proposal for the town managers that went to the select board in Brewster on August 10th. And it's going to the selectmen tonight, and the Recreation Advisory Committee is meeting at 3 to discuss what their reaction is, which is pretty negative from what I can read. It's so that's the so that's going to be a big issue, I think. And probably I could just stop there.
They do hope to do phase 1 of the project this winter, right?
Yeah, in the fall,
Yeah.
right ground in the fall,
Although
yeah.
they're still just getting bids in?
They already
No,
got
the
the, they
bids
already
are
got
in.
the
The
bids.
bids are in.
They got 6
They're under
bids,
review.
and they're reviewing them
Yeah.
because they can't just pick the lowest bid, because they bid, and then they said, well, and then if you add like lighting, then this will be the bid, and if you add this, so it's a whole matrix. But they're trying to get it.
But the bids require that they start in the fall. So the
Yeah.
bids understand, all the bidders understand that they're to start construction in the fall.
As soon as if they were accepted, their bid was accepted, they're ready to start.
So
Essentially.
it's
Yeah,
a
but
very
I just-
prescribed process, Susan. So when the bids come in, they all get opened at the same time, and they all get logged, and then they are trying to make sure it's all apples to apples, from the qualifications of the bidders to what they're
They're gonna do.
yes, what they're gonna do, how they're gonna complete it. They're looking not just at cost, but that is the time that if they're considering, if, like, for instance, you don't know where bids are gonna come in. Maybe they came in at $100,000, this is, I'm making this up, $100,000 less than the project was anticipated. So all of them. So, oh, well, we budgeted this, we have 100,000, maybe we can get the lighting done. So then what they do is they look at what they may want to make for an adjustment to the
Right,
specifications of the job, and then they have to have all of the bidders look at that. So they haven't, I don't think they've selected the final
That
bidder.
just seems like it's late. The bidding process seems late to me for something that's gonna just start this fall.
But
which
they
is
wouldn't have bid if they
in
weren't.
another month.
if- But they wouldn't have bid if they didn't have room on their,
Okay.
It's,
Schedule to do
they're
it.
probably not tiny groups that bid, they're probably big organizations that bid.
It's also, they're applying for grants for some of the other items, so.
Yeah.
So that money may or may not come in.
Right.
So.
Chairman, I should add something to the Recreation Committee's work. One reason the committee was thinking about this proposal is they liked what their goal was in the last 3 years, which is to make a community center without walls, kind of deal, which could include a variety of, recreation, council on aging, maybe library even. And the job of recreation director is also a job of recreation director,
Community events.
cultural and community. So, but although that's not the Recreation Advisory's tenure as well. So that's one reason. They were saying they like that concept, and the committee wanted to be able to continue with that. And there were 3 of the committee members had watched the Brewster Selectmen's meeting and said the reaction from the Brewster Selectmen was not promising. And they were not interested in sharing the new facilities at the Sea Camp, including the pool. So I'm sure this is going to be hashed out today
Yeah.
in detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
The Economic Development Committee didn't seem to have met since the last time I looked at their video. I looked at Snow Library. Not much is going on. They did form they were forming a subcommittee to start looking at maybe if they still hope to go on, not next spring, but the spring after, asking for money for design for a new library. But they're also starting to look at what, if they can't do that, what renovations are really prioritized renovations and look at that. But there was nothing that would directly affect the seniors.
Thank you. I can report on, there was notes from the July 15th and August 5th Select Board. Actually, some continuation. So they did a summer information sessions, as Judy noted. Judy was at the July 15th one, did presentations. So a number of departments did similar. Natural resources, which takes care of shoreline and waterways. Recreation and culture, which you've already kind of addressed. The only other thing that they did talk about was there's a community resource fair in September. I don't know, is the COA involved in that?
Yes, we are.
I would assume so. Judy already talked about and provided us the slides with what she presented for the senior center. Snows did a presentation as well. Tavi, just interesting, 97,000 people passed through the library last year, which is a pretty interesting number. And 15,000 people participating in lifelong learning. So same kind of things that we're seeing, right? That the interest in people programming is, growing in all over town.
That's really great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I had no idea they had a library of things, which was new and interesting information for me. And they continue to add to that mushroom foraging kits and ice cream makers and metal detectors, and people can sign those things out. So
Sewing
that was
machines
all-
you can borrow?
Yeah, I had no
Borrow a
idea.
sewing machine.
So they have a seed library, literally for people to trade seeds. DPW did talk about phase 3, starting with the sewers. And the only reason I bring that up here is I'm sure you will be coordinating with them as well. Route 28 will be hit heavy this winter, and most of the winter it will be under construction. So that will certainly impact our buses and pickups and all that sort of stuff. And for those of us who live down that way, the detours that will continue. So that is supposed to start in September. A lot of rerouting around.
They're gonna do 28?
Yeah, that's where the next phase of the sewers are. So,
Do you know from where to where?
from, what's the extension? Eldridge Extension to Ari's Pond.
Okay.
How you get to South Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No other way.
Yeah, so they'll have to allow traffic, but I'm sure it's gonna be, stop and allow some cars through kind of stuff, so, major delays there, right? Let's see, drought continues. They've noted that Orleans, even with our bit of rain, at the lowest levels they have ever been, so doesn't sound like they're gonna be lifting that anytime soon. So that was that. After the presentations, Judy talked a little bit about the a senior tax work-off program, and it sounds like because there were only 2 participants and the issue around those who participated getting a 1099 was one of the things that was really problematic for individuals and likely impacting their participation, and so that has been raised up to or proposed to be raised.
Yeah, actually, it really has already impacted interest in the program this year.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because people were getting a 1099 for their earnings, and what happened is, because it was a 1099, they were being taxed as a
Self-employed, yeah.
and on top of the tax, so they were losing a decent percentage of their tax credit. But the trigger for the 1099, the town has selected to increase the trigger to match other recommendations to $2,000, so it won't impact anyone in the program. There'll be no tax impact.
Yeah. So that's good, because I think.
I have 2 accepted already, and I have 3 other applications in
Great.
process right now.
Yeah, so that's really good news. We already talked about town meeting being November 16th. The warrant opens August 3rd and closes September 23rd. From the August 5th Select Board meeting, Fire Department made their presentation to the Select Board as part of the summer information related to COA, medical transport way up, no surprise to you, I'm sure. And also related, big workforce issues over there. They have 5 people on leave of absence there, so they are also getting crushed with their staff.
At the fire department?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Some medical leaves, paternity leave.
It was
some-
really amazing, the
Yeah.
number of people.
Yeah.
I felt for him of how you manage when you've got that many people out for perfectly
Legitimate reasons,
legitimate
yeah,
reasons,
yeah.
yeah.
And you can't even backfill those, right?
No.
It's not like you can hire, you just gotta make it work.
Yeah.
So, big problem there. So it did make me wonder about, like, as a town, how we, or do we have any kind of directed work around, working toward, group working toward workforce issues, right? I mean, I know HR oversees that, but is there some way that we can have maybe greater focus and input and support? Because it sounds like many departments are really struggling, and maybe more minds getting together with some ideas might be helpful. So, I don't know
One of the
if,
things you mentioned, the warrant for the town meeting closes September 23rd, you said. We won't even have another meeting for then. If we want to get the generator on that warrant,
That is not a project that will be facilitated through the COA. That'll be facilitated through DPW and building and facility staff.
with a
That's-
push from the COA? or-
I mean, they're keeping me informed, and I'm asking questions, but that is so outside the scope of my knowledge or skills, that is not a COA project. That is definitely, it's engineering. So I am asking for information, I am asking to be updated. When I haven't heard anything, I'm prompting communication about it to try and keep it moving, as I have been for a number of years now.
How many years?
A lot.
I guess I don't, I mean, I have a generator at home. Somebody came in and installed it and hooked it up. This sounds like it's much, much more.
Much,
involved.
much bigger than yours. It's a different, it's not just a little thing that's the size of your table. It's a big.
commercial generator.
It's a commercial generator. We have a commercial kitchen, commercial vent hoods. We have, you have probably 1 heating system. We have 5. It's a different beast altogether. I thought that at the beginning, and honestly, the beginning of this was just, could we have a generator for our refrigerator and our freezer, please, so we can stop throwing away food? But it's not that simple.
But could we, the board, make a motion about the generator to say that we would really like it to be a priority to look upon to get onto the warrant?
Sure.
Or not, maybe no, but I don't know if that would,
I'd vote for it, but that's me.
Does everybody feel we want one?
A generator? Yes, we definitely want.
Yeah, it's about process, it's about process, and I, I think it is, again, have you talked to Mike Salitra, is that who's handling that?
At some point, whenever procurement is involved, or contracts are involved, Mike gets involved. But at this point in time, it's the DPW, and it is on my list for my meeting tomorrow.
But it literally has been years.
Yeah, it's been a long
yeah.
time.
And issues have come up
About-
and they've been slow to get resolved. Valid issues have come up, but it's like it keeps going around and around and around. And it's becoming essential for emergencies. There needs to be redundancies so that people can come here and use offices if something happens at the town hall or the fire station. It would be good to have.
So I think the storm of last winter created some traction in the issue.
But yet here we are.
But there has been work since that storm. There's been like an engineering assessment of it, and there's a new DPW director. It's on the list. I'm going to update you. I will send out an email to update the board on the COA assistant director position as requested. Why don't I include that in the update? Since the meeting is tomorrow. I mean, you can call a meeting if you need to call a meeting. If you choose to do that, that's within your right to call a meeting so that you can make that deadline. But why don't we just see where we're
That's
at,
what I was
and then
gonna
you
say,
can
we
make a
can certainly
decision.
have it, if we find that this is not going anywhere and we need to take action, we can call a meeting, and discuss that solely, so that's not a problem.
You can do that. You can go to a select board meeting and you can talk to the select board about it during public speak. There's a lot of things that you can do. So let me just get the update and provide you with that information, and then you can decide what you want to do after that.
Thank you.
And then the only other thing from Select Board, as I talked about, was the EOC, and I think, they also are keeping our eye on that and our participation on that. We were listed on the slides as someone who is at the table as they develop and redevelop this Emergency Operations Center plan. We certainly want to be there when they start to get into some of those details, since the COA is a critical piece of any of the emergencies that go on in town, so. And that was it. Select Board approved a lot of policies, which I guess everybody is in the process of looking at policies and reviewing them, so that was all I had. Anybody have any other
So just.
information from?
No, nothing.
Meetings,
That,
okay.
just, so that OWL system that's like sort of defunct, didn't really.
I don't think it's defunct. I think honestly, Mark, it has to do with the internet where we are.
Oh, we're right.
Yeah,
okay,
I
so-
mean, it works swimmingly I think
Yeah.
the Snow Library uses it all the time without issue.
Okay,
But our internet in our meeting rooms
Yeah.
isn't good. I mean, it's part of,
yeah,
an issue that we're working to
yeah,
resolve.
right.
And it doesn't mean that that's not an option for us down the road, but it just, in my mind, there were too many times we didn't have the
Yeah,
internet. We
right.
couldn't get it going, so.
So this is, should I use the word Starlink? Is that what we're waiting for? Are we waiting for a Starlink and then that?
This is very tied, I don't know where to bring this up. It's tied into the phone system.
Yes, our
So-
phone system, our phone system.
Yeah, so we're working on it.
Oh, I was
This is
gonna say,
also-
I'm
Alright.
gonna need you to close the meeting, because
All right,
I'm late
all
for
right.
work.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay, well, we can do it right now. We have a motion to adjourn?
I don't wanna rush anybody, so, I'll meet with you about this.
Sure.
Yes,
Or call or whatever.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize people worked anymore.
Yes.
So on this side of the table.
Yes, I do.
So this is the
Not
Starlink,
unfortunately, but-
so I
Well, the
did one-
Starlink is the
Yeah, so it's the,
Starlink is
SpaceX
like
thing.
saying iPhone, it's a brand.
but we're waiting, we've been waiting for this to be updated too for years.
So we've had an update, I mean, they do come and they
Yeah.
try and update the technology, but we can't seem to, I mean, some of it is the phone company it's not keeping the lines that we have copper wire. So it's not, I mean, it's a bigger issue, it's part of the bigger issues
Right,
that the
they're gonna
IT
put
is
fiber,
looking at.
right?
They're
So it's
looking
not
at fiber.
Starlink, Starlink is the stopgap
Yes,
for.
To
right,
use fiber.
Yeah,
yes.
So, wow, but still, it's just amazing that, I mean, I live out in that area and I can get reception, although at the moment.
I mean, I
don't
have to, I
cable
can
at the
only
moment,
tell you,
so there you
I mean,
go.
I live in Brewster in a dead zone, I went to the select board to talk about it, I mean, it's just, it is what it is,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
it's not a perfect system, and the Cape is a very busy place at certain times of the year, and there's capacity issues on top of it, so,
That's, I mean, that has been, I was listening to that a year ago when I came on the board.
Oh, it's more than that.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
it's right
right,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I remember when.
That's right. Anything else? All right.
I make a motion we adjourn.
All right, motion adjourned.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.